All right, grace and peace to everybody. This can be a very quick video as I got to get going. I just wanted to make a couple of quick comments about, or I want to respond to some comments made by Advent Defense League and make a couple points. Let me share. Hopefully your day is going well. All right. Okay, you can see it. So this is a community post on my channel that I made recently. And give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. So this is a community post that I made on my channel recently, and I'm making a very simple point with it. I said Advent Defense League says that Academy Apologia won't debate them, but in the original post did not have this part in it. And I said, but Advent Defense League refuses to have a conversation about Daniel 8 on my channel. So the point is very simple: is that they're using this this point here that his name is Jim. I forget though. Apologize if that's wrong. Jim of Academy Apologia will not debate Advent Defense League, and so it's being used as like a morale booster or whatever you want to call it for their followers, saying, "Look, we are here. We want to have this debate or discussion, whatever it is, with Jim of Academy Apologia, and he's refusing." So it makes you look good in the eyes of your followers and maybe other people who are looking and interested in your channel. And so I'm simply making the point that if that is the case, and maybe they have a different reason for doing it, I don't know, but it seems like that's the case. But if that is the case, then I reached out to Jason, one of the Advent Defense League individuals, and I wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with him on the topic of Daniel chapter 8. And why I wanted that is that Daniel 8 is the central, Daniel 8:14 especially, but Daniel 8 is the central verse / chapter of Adventism. It all really comes from Daniel 8:14. And the 2300 needing to be years. And if it's not years, then the SDA system will crumble around it. And so I tend to focus on that heavily. And I've never talked to any of these guys about Daniel 8. And a simple point, I didn't cover all the details of that previous interaction I had with Jason. And then after Jason for a couple of times, then I had it with Edwin and others. Or maybe just Edwin and Jason. And I didn't feel the need to give all those details in this post because, like I said, the point of the post is very simple and straightforward. Is that if that is a positive that Jim does not want to talk to them about Advent doctrine or debate with them, then is it a negative when Advent Defense League, or at the very least 3 of the 4 Advent Defense League members, refuse to have a conversation with someone like myself, who is a nobody, who's not a scholar, who's not a pastor, who's not a theologian, who's not anything? Would that be a negative if the other is a positive? And if not, why not? And so I made these points that made that post, and then Advent Defense League commented. I'm not sure who it is. It seems like maybe it's not Edwin who's commenting, but he sounds like Edwin when he talks. So, but ADL says, "LOL, seriously? I recall distinctly that Edwin agreed to have a discussion with you, but you said no because you don't think he's honest, and you insisted you'd only talk to Jason or Randy or Deontay. Come on, give the full story." So this has happened in the past when ADL has talked back and forth with me, and this may be due to they're always online, and when they're online making videos, it's always button heads, or it's always something negative, right? They're always having to quote unquote defend, and so they may get in this mindset that anybody who addresses them or goes against them is doing so in a negative or malicious intent. But that is simply not the case, and I don't think it's a good idea to assume that of everybody. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not interested in talking with Edwin, amongst other reasons, is that he always assumes the negative or the bad onto his opponent. And then he assumes the good onto him. But it could be the case, right, that neither is evil or bad or negative or malicious or whatever. But instead, and like I said, this happened again, or last time in a previous interaction I had with them on a comment, is they assume this negative intent into your words and then portray the whole scenario in a way that makes you look bad. Of course, this is probably done, they think, probably to expose you as a negative or bad or lying individual. And maybe with some of the people they deal with, that is the case. Maybe it is. I don't actively follow them, so I don't know. But I'm sure with some of the cases that is true. But it's not true with every person, every case. And this here is one of those. And so I commented, said I wasn't hiding that part. It actually started because I wanted to talk to Jason alone, one-on-one. So technically, you are not telling the full story. So in other words, I'm just doing the same thing back to him that he did to me, although it doesn't matter to me if he's telling the full story or not, because that's not the point of my post. The point of my post is very simple and straightforward. Hard to explain that. He says, now here he continues, he doubles down on his applying the negative or the bad intent onto his opponent and keeping him as the defender and the innocent one. Says, you really did hide that, bud. So he's saying, yes, you are hiding that. Although every single time I have mentioned this in the past to anybody online, I have always made it very, very clear that, and I've said this multiple times too, that I'm not interested in talking with Edwin, at least at this time, because of his character and how he behaves and how he is. And this is showing it right here as well too. These comments are exactly how Edwin talks, not how Jason talks. So maybe it's maybe it's Randy or Deontay. I'm not sure how they talk online, but he says you are hiding it. So he's accusing me of hiding that information, which I've never done in the past. So why would I do it now? That's goofy. Maybe it wasn't on purpose. So he's giving me possible that I wasn't trying to hide it. But then he said you really did hide it. He said, but the full comment in your post doesn't tell readers that you only invited Jason, but refused a discussion with Edwin. I rejected a discussion with Edwin, yes, or Edwin. And again, I mentioned that to make the point to him that he wasn't even telling the full story when he made that comment here, the original comment to me. But it doesn't bug me that he didn't, because I'm just making one simple point. I'm not wanting to bring every detail of that interaction up just to make this point. It's just, it shouldn't be needed. I have no malicious intent. I'm making a simple point. And every time I've talked about these individuals online in the past, I have not. One second. I forgot what I was doing. What was I saying? I'm sorry, I had to do something. I just oh yeah, in the past, whenever I have never, as far as I can recall, and you can go find my comments, is I have never lied about them. I've never misinformed somebody about them. I have no ill will in that sense towards them. And in fact, if you lie about somebody or mislead about somebody, it just makes everything worse and makes you look bad. And even doing this makes you look bad, because what you could have done at the start was simply say, oh, did you purposely leave out details about that conversation? And I would have responded yes, because I wanted to just make one simple point, and that was it. And if you had said, well, do you mind giving more details, specifically these ones, I probably would have said, sure, give me a little bit and I'll do it. See how that's a way different approach when you come at me with this kind of stuff instead of accusing me. And now this is kind of how propaganda works, right? Now that you have accused me of being negative and lying about you guys or hiding information about you guys, now anybody who sees this conversation, they'll read the first couple comments and they may think, well, okay, so I'm on Edwin's side, and Edwin wouldn't be making this stuff up. So clearly this critic just doesn't like Adventists, and he's going to lie about us, and so I don't want to interact with him. Maybe that was his whole goal this whole time. I'm not sure. I can't say, but this is definitely the way Edwin talks, for sure. He said, you just coupled the whole ministry in one sentence by simply writing a Advent Defense League. That's true. That is definitely true. But I mean, it was 3 out of 4 people. I was willing to have a 3 versus 1 conversation, and they still rejected it. I originally just wanted a one-on-one with Jason because he seemed like a nice guy. It'd be a good conversation. There'd be no concern for any snakish behavior. It would just be an excellent talk, and that would have been it. That literally would have been it. Instead, he rejected. And then I said, okay, well, how about this to kind of make it more appealing? The other 2 individuals, Deontay and Randy, can come with you, and there'll be 3 versus 1. So, but yeah, okay. So I made a mistake saying just ADL. I should have said ADL minus Edwin. And so I changed the post to or for Edwin. So that way he wouldn't be thinking I'm misleading or lying about him or anything like that. And he said, and gave the impression that the entire ADL team refused to discuss Daniel 8 with you. A bit disingenuous, perhaps. See, again, it's always negative towards my enemy, always positive towards me. And it's like, no, say it again now. You want to only talk to Jason from ADL, not Edwin from ADL. I understand this is effective tactics online. You get your team all riled up. You get them thinking negative about your enemy, and you win, honestly. But I don't really care about that. I just wanted to make these points because this is for anybody who actually listen to this, which is not many people will. There was no malicious or evil or negative intent in my post. It was simply pointing out one simple point. And I already told you that one simple point is that if this right here, Advent Defense League says Jim won't debate them, if that's positive, then is it a negative that ADL minus Edwin refused to have a 3-on-1 conversation with me about Daniel chapter 8, their strongest chapter? With that being said, grace and peace to everybody. I hope you have a good day. God bless.